We are live, baby.
Yo, yo. I left the windows open in the Airbnb the whole time we were gone. It was like 5 degrees here. So I came down here and it was so cold in this.
Oh my
Oh man.
God. Um, so how long did it take to warm up?
It's already starting to warm up. I bumped the thermostat to like 72. But
I
it's
mean, you're in a t-shirt, so it seems like you're fine.
yeah, no, it's not a big deal.
Is it 5 degrees right now?
No, it's like 50. It's sunny. I was just ran over to my office and I wore like a t-shirt. I didn't even have a jacket.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was as low as 5 or 7 in here on the weekend, and it's now like 60, which is super nice. It's a game
All
changer.
right, dude. We got a lot of stuff to talk about when we were talking before we were recording, but I want to dive into with you. You recently sleep trained your son. Well, we'll call it sleep train. I don't know the name for it, but you applied this method to getting your son to sleep through the night. He is what, 4 months old right now?
Yeah, 4 months and 10 days now.
Okay.
So yeah, started 4 months. I would say about 5 6 nights ago.
Okay, and we are a couple of weeks ahead of you in age, but a couple of weeks behind you in sleep routines. We're not on a bad sleep routine, but he doesn't sleep through the night yet. I think he wakes up once, maybe twice. But we both are kind of on a similar timeline with starting solid foods and all that. And you recently implemented a method, and it worked very well,
Miracles.
miracles. And I said, okay, I got to learn what Yoni's doing with this. And I figured it'd probably be beneficial because we had so many friends and folks that are kind of going through this same point with their kids, and I think it's really helpful. There is the cry it out method, or the actual sleep training method, where essentially you put them in the room, and it seems to work really well. And they cry for 45 minutes the first night, 10 minutes the second night, the third night they sleep, and they realize, hey, no one's coming to get me. I got to go to sleep. Um, that could be traumatizing for the kid. It might not be. I don't really know. I think that would be pretty hard to test anyway. But it didn't really resonate with my wife or me. So, and I think with you and your wife, same thing. So you did this other method, and I have a bunch of questions. But why don't you give your sort of kind of intro to what that looks like and where you came up with it and all that?
Cool. So I'll preface that with saying that with our daughter, who is turning 4 in less than a month, we did a cried out method. I think she was crying for, I mean, kind of on and off for like over 2 hours. And it was one night and she was done. She slept through the night from that point on, like 11, 12 hour nights. And, it worked for us. And then when we had our second one, my wife was saying, I don't want to, like, she kept saying it throughout the past few months. Like, I don't want to do this to him. I don't want to do this to him. Like, I don't want to do it either. I don't think we're going to need to. There are better ways to do it. I think it's traumatizing. I mean, we talked about all kinds of traumas that happen to kids already at a very young age that are related with health concerns and whatnot. Sometimes it happens when, moms go back to work early. There's all kinds of things that happen. Um, so this is one of the things that we wanted to avoid. So we looked for new resources. My wife hired a sleep trainer back then, kind of just like to help with like a sleep training plan, pretty much a schedule and some feedback and being available via text. For a few weeks. And so you told me also that there was some sleep regression with your son when he had 4 months. Mine was, not there yet. And then my wife was holding our son for a lot of naps for the past few months. Pretty much, he napped on people. He napped either on her, on me, on our nanny. Um, he pretty much, or he napped in a stroller in a car, or in this like swing device. So we mostly, when we were the men's retreat, the men of integrity retreat together about 3 weeks ago, she was calling me and she was having a super hard time, especially at night, because he was getting fussier. And as she just, in her words, she said he wouldn't let me put him down. So she was up all night for like a couple of nights. She was breaking down. She was super depleted, super upset. She let him cry it out for a while. She was, felt guilty about it. It was a bad situation emotionally. He seems to have had a bad situation. She was having a bad situation. There was not much support. Delaney was here during the day for some of the days, but other than that, at night she was alone, and that was the big deal. Kind of making sure that the mother gets at least the very minimum night sleep, good night sleep, so she can also be, especially for breastfeeding, has the energy and the emotional stability and joy and happiness to be taking care of her son, no resentment there. So all of that, right? So I come home and we talk about the training, that she said, she wanted to avoid. I'm like, we're gonna figure it out. So she bought a training plan from this lady who's famous, I think, on social media and such. It's called Taking Care of Babies. We've been following her method back in the day, not to the T, but for some things like using a sound machine and some cues, and like looking for cues for a sleepy baby. And then your wife bought this Dr. Gully method that we've never heard of. And once we got that method, which is an online course, super digestible, organized well, and they say like black and white, we do not support the cry it out. There's two methods that they support for settling a baby to go to sleep or resettling after the baby is woken up before it's time to get up. And the two methods are spaced soothing, which means letting the baby cry, but checking on him frequently. So it starts with like checking on him every minute, and then giving him 2 minutes and 4 minutes and 8 minutes, and then building up to more time over the course of a few days. And then the other one, which is called cuddle to cot, that's like staying with the baby in the room, just like by the bassinet or the crib, and giving that assurance of physical presence, and intervening more with touch, like holding him in bed, like holding his hands, rubbing. I'm saying holding the baby's hands, rubbing tummy, head, with and voice. So soothing methods, right?
And
We
you wait,
Mhm, go
you
ahead.
only focused though, you prioritized uh bedtime like at nighttime over naps, right?
Yeah, that's the so my wife also read a bunch of books back in the day. She has a good amount of knowledge, and she's done a lot of research. And in general, that was what's more important. And the research says that it's easier to get the nighttime sleep. There's more melatonin, right? We talk about melatonin in this podcast, so it's easier to work on the night, and it's more important for us as parents to get that night sleep. Like we're gonna figure it out during the day, so we focus on the nights. What we did is, we're lucky right here where I'm staying right now. That's our we have a second structure on our property. So I sent my wife. I told her like, all right, you go next door. She was about to hire somebody to come and help us in person. Like that's the kind of breaking point that she got to. She just got back to work 9 days ago. Got back to work. My daughter is off school. Nanny got sick. Like all these things are happening at the same time. Lots of new changes. And she's so depleted from holding the baby all the time. Kind of like it's fun, for like a nap a day, but like when it's like 6 hours a day, and then at night she was like, I can't do it anymore. So I told her, you go next door, give me a chance to do this Dr. Gali method with a bunch of other tips that we have from the other trainers from previous knowledge, and let's see if it works. Give me the 4 to 5 days, as Dr. Gali writes in his what do we call it, in the guide, to actually give it a try. It's going to take some time, and they say especially the first 2 days are the hardest. So she goes next door. It's around, I don't know, 6:30, 7 p.m., and it takes our baby about 30 minutes to fall asleep. So I was checking on him, say first every 2 minutes, after 2 minutes, and then I give him four, and then six, and
Did
then
he
when I got
you wait, she feeds him at like until say like 6:30?
yeah, I fed him, and I was and then like I held him and soothe him before bedtime, just gonna wind him down, put him
But
in
he's
bed.
not falling asleep in your arms.
Does not fall asleep. He has to fall asleep on his own in his bed, and his room is also in a different floor than ours. So like I have to
Yeah.
go upstairs and such, and also we have two doors to his room. So there's his actual bedroom door, and then we have another door. There's a closet in there. It's like a funky structure we have. Our daughter's closet is like has a door, and then his bedroom is like after her closet. But anyway, so she goes next door. I do the 2, 4, 6, and then I just do every 6 minutes. Every 6 minutes, I go in there and I do what's called this that space through soothing. I give him some time to soothe himself, and I come and reassure him that I'm here for him. And what I did is I just like I rubbed his belly, rubbed his head, I held his hands. I talked to him, but I only stay there for, they say, what, stay there for 1 to 2 minutes max. Sometimes I stay there for 15 seconds, sometimes for a minute. And if they get hysterical, to pick them up and really give them a better, a more a warmer soothing method, right? Really like come pick them up, let them relax, and then do it again.
So
If
for those
they
30 minutes, wait, for those 30 minutes, is he like losing his shit crying?
No, no, so it starts by fussing, he's crying, it's kind of on and off, and then towards actually the end of the 30 minutes. And it's the same. If they lose their shit, like pick them up, like restart it. Also, they say in that method, if they're quiet for 30 seconds, if they're not crying, the timer starts again. So say I waited for 5 minutes, I'm about to go in there for, in a minute, right? So waiting those 6 minutes based on the first day, the 2, and then 4, and then 6, and then continuously every 6 minutes until they fall asleep for the first day. If it was quiet for those 30 seconds, timer starts again. So I'm just like downstairs, I'm doing some mobility work, I'm folding his clothes, I'm doing some, and I'm trying, right, to not really tune into that too much, because it hurts. It hurts right in the middle of the heart to me. I assume it hurts even more to the mothers, and I've heard from another mother who was here as a client yesterday that it hurts their breasts too. And imagine, like, this is exactly where they feed them. Like, say, like, it physically hurts. It's super hard for them. So I sent her next door. I did that. After 30 minutes, he fell asleep. So I'm like, cool. He fell asleep in his own bed for the first time in maybe ever. Um, Definitely in a long time. It's everything is fleeting. I don't remember what happened 2 months ago when he was sleeping in our room. So he sleeps in his own room for the first time, falls asleep after 30 minutes.
So wait, now, so you'll go, so you put him in, he eats, you go, you like kind of, calm him down a little bit. Hey, you're walking around with him, chatting with him a little
Let it
bit,
burp.
whatever, getting him ready for bed. You put him
I,
down.
Yeah, and I forgot to say that we also had a realization that he was crying a bunch based on this method, based on the timeline of 4 months. He was going through a growth spurt, so he was hungrier, and we didn't burp him that well. He had a bunch of burps, so we did a different burping method of holding him for, I think, 2 minutes or a minute, and then putting him down on his back for a minute or two. So back and forth. And that helped him get a bunch of burps that night. So he got more burps. He was more comfortable. We could tell he was uncomfortable. We were playing what's called a passive ping pong, a pacifier ping pong. Just keep winning the pacifier to calm him down, so he can soothe himself with a pacifier. And one night I went up there like 30 times. It just didn't make any sense. Just up for hours, just put the pacifier. Maybe he falls asleep for 30 minutes, he's crying again. I figured he's hungry and is uncomfortable. So he's hungry, and perhaps also he has to burp, and anyways, gassy and hungry. So yeah, keep going back there every 6 minutes or so.
Wait, but you start with 1 minute, so you put him down, and you go out
Maybe,
for
yeah, maybe two. Yeah,
one or
that's
2 minutes. You go in there and do the space soothing for 1 to 2 minutes.
max. So maybe, like, if he's, it wasn't crying that much, I'm just there for like 15 seconds. I'm just letting him know I'm there. I'm holding his
Okay.
hands. I love you, and I say the same things like good night, my prince. I love you. See you later. Come back,
Okay.
do the same
He's
thing.
he's still fussing, and then you leave, and you give
Come back.
him
Four
two to
minutes
four
now.
minutes.
No, now I give him four. After the two, I give him four. And then I get to the six based on that method. Once you get to the six for the first day, then you stay at the six. Now it's 6 minute intervals till they fall asleep. If that takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. Based on this method. It took 30 minutes, total. So I went in there a few times. And when I felt like also I didn't stick to it to the T, when I felt like it could go for 8 minutes, I let him go for 8 minutes. I didn't. I was not there with a timer. Like, it's time to go now. I didn't treat it like a computer. I'm like, I'm filling it out. Anyways, fell asleep within 30 minutes. Slept for about 4 to 5 hours, which was a big win. And she's next door. She doesn't know. She's like, give me updates. I'm like, there will be no updates. I'll come get you when it's your turn. Because I don't want her to like look at her phone, I get good sleep. Like, go get as much good sleep as you can. Like, just trust the plan. Trust your husband. Um, Anyways, I woke up at 1:30. What did I do then? I did the same thing. I did the resettling method, the same thing, 2, 4, 6, 6. And they say like check also their diapers. I smell his diaper to see if he pooped or if there's too much pee in there. I think I forget if I did it the first night, but perhaps I picked him up. I checked his diaper. If he needed to be changed, I changed his diaper. Felt there's a lot of pee in there, or if he pooped, he did not poop the first night. Anyways, changed his diaper, put him back in. Took him another 30 minutes, and then he slept until 5:30. And then I went and got her, and she fed him around 5:45. So he slept for a good amount of time. The second night, I did. They say like to move on now to like I don't know, like whatever 2, 4, 8, 8, 8, whatever. Like more, and I give him more time with the space soothing. Falls asleep. I think it took him 30 minutes again, but I think he slept for 11, like 8 or 10 hours stretch that night already. Second night, huge win. And then changed him and he slept for another few hours. No feeding during the night for him. We figured out that he was eating a lot during the night. He was getting gassy, he was getting uncomfortable. And what we did was really make sure that he's not eating during the night, so he eats more during the day. So we started solids, I think, all around the same time. Started solids, just a little bit of sweet potato. We've done sweet potato for a few days. We saw that it's sitting well with him when we focus rather than on introducing the foods. On making sure that he's fed, he's comfortable, and he's gonna sleep. So like I don't want to mess with another variable now and then like I don't know if I'm doing the sleeping method well or if it's the food. So sweet potato is working, Japanese sweet potato, super dense in nutrients. We do that. And then we just started with just lunchtime. Give him a little bit of that, and we saw that he was sleeping even better during the naps. The naps were still about 30 minutes, maybe some of them were 40 minutes, but shorter naps, good sleep during the night. Third night sleeps for 11 or 12 hours. Fourth night 12 hours. Last night also, which was fifth or sixth night, we already be getting like this sixth night 11, 12 hours. Last night he woke up after 11 and a half hours. 5:30. Give him some time, like 15 minutes. Just kind of like do his thing now. I'm just kind of giving him his time by now, rather than checking on him that often, because I've seen when I check on him often, he just gets upset. So I get in there and I smell shit. So I see like big shit. Change his diaper. He's still crying, right? So he's not even ready. To me, didn't feel like he's ready to even get up. He's upset after I change him. Usually, if he's awake, and he wants to eat, like he will not be crying. He'll be chilling. He's like, oh, I'm about to get my food. He was still crying. Changed his diaper, cleaned him up, only turned on like a salt lamp. I could barely see what's going on. I didn't even know if it's fully clean. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to get any light in here to interfere with his melatonin.
Yeah.
I cleaned it. I thought, I think I did a good job there. Kind of keep going with the wet wipes. Throw it away. Put him back in bed. Fell asleep within 3 minutes. Slept for another 45 minutes. Slept for a total of 12 and a half hours. So
Ooh. So this is
beautiful.
so it took a few more days. I mean, again, this is just your experience, and you have
Mhm.
a very uh, a strong ability to remain calm when things get a little turbulent, and you have a very strong sense of confidence. Once you commit to a plan, you're doing it. You're going to get it done. You don't let your emotions interfere too much. And one thing that actually I don't know if you mentioned, but you did mention to me on the phone, you when he is crying, or they are crying, the baby's crying, they're not. It's a protest. It's not a feeling of abandonment. Is that right?
Yes, that's what we've seen, and that's what also I think is true. They're they can't talk. They're using that as like, come get me, like come pick me up. They're communicating. They're not like, hey, you left me alone. Like I feel neglected. I think that perhaps yes, the cried out method. After a while, they would feel neglected. That's why the space soothing method, like checking on them, letting them know like we're here for you, but like it's your job, bud. You just gonna have to do it. It's for the betterment of everybody. That's what we chose. And also, I will mention that when he cries, when he was crying at night, especially in the first couple of nights, what I was doing when I was alone in my bedroom, I turned off the monitor so I can still hear him crying. Because I left one of the doors open a little bit so I can hear it, but it's not right next to me, so it's not like overwhelming to me. So I can hear it and I can tell if it's slowing down. But as he's crying, what I'm doing a meta meditation. So I imagine him and I say, "May you be happy," and rather than healthy, he's healthy. So I'm like, "May you be happy, may you be at peace." And I keep sending this to him and imagining him with a smile and also like his face when he's asleep, with his eyes closed and he's just like passed out. So I kept doing that. May you be happy, may you be at peace. And I'm finding peace in myself. And I saw that when I was feeling stressed, like my body language, I was just kind of holding myself. I was just like, I was feeling pretty, pretty stressed myself from his crying. It hurts for sure. And it took some doing some breath work and doing that and really doing some grounding. Not outside, but just kind of like grounding exercise to kind of like move the energy down and just like get out of my chest, and then focus on that and get to that confidence that I'm doing the right thing. Just keep being consistent. I'm doing the right thing. And we talked to a few sleep trainers because my wife was about to hire somebody. So we talked to like three sleep trainers. The second, the pretty much after the first night. So the second day. So I started the sleep training that night, and she already made appointments for the day after because she was getting to the breaking point. And so we talked to three sleep trainers. They all kind of gave some advice there. Unfortunately, we didn't have to hire anybody. It was a big price there, and yeah.
because they come stay with you and all. So, and another thing to point out, I'm not really talking shit on the sleep training or the cry it out method. I don't know if it does really anything to the baby, if there's any lasting impact there. Some can speculate yes, some can say no. But for me, it's my wife. I think it's, that it being hard on her. I mean, we're not just thinking about the baby here and that he's going to be, it would be really hard on my wife to go through that or to know that he's going through that. So I think this is, you're letting them grow on their own and kind of find their edge in a sense, but you're also there supporting them along the way. So I think that's good too, at least for us, and I think for you guys. One more question I had just in the details of it, because I'm getting ready to start this tonight.
Good luck.
Um,
Are you gonna send her to the next unit?
yeah, I think so. If she's okay with that, or
Yeah, I think it will make it much easier for everybody. I mean, when my wife was protesting about going next door, and she's like, "No, I can't leave him like this." I'm like, "You got to get out of here." And also, I didn't do it like, "Get out of here." I'm like, "You got to get out of here. Let me handle business. I will get you if you need it. Like, just trust me." You know.
yeah, okay.
So containment. We talked about males containing. This is not controlling. It's a whole different thing. You can look it up. But providing safety and support to our women in that way.
So okay, so say tonight it's 7 o'clock. He eats his big meal, or 6:30. I put him down. He's not going to be happy about it. He's going to be like, "Bro,
No.
what's going on here? I usually fall asleep in mom's arms feeding. She puts me down. Um, I'm not into it. I am not going to be surprised if he is quite upset. So after 2 minutes, I'm going to go in there. I'm assuming I'm going to have to pick him up.
Oh wait,
To,
hold on. So is he sleeping in your room or is he sleeping in his own bedroom tonight?
well,
Has
that's
he?
the other thing. He's
Has he?
been sleeping in the bassinet. We did bed sharing for a long time, up until you know 3
Yeah,
months.
which is
Then
why.
he was bedside in the bassinet. Now we were thinking about moving him across the master bedroom in his bassinet still,
But inside the same room.
inside the same room.
So yeah, so you may want to, it's not like I'm a sleep trainer by any means or that experience, but you may want to go with that cuddle to cot method, where you perhaps stay in the room with him. You don't necessarily pick him up and such. Like you just perhaps you lay in bed, he's like a few feet away from you in a bassinet, and you just stay there. And when it escalates, you go and you talk to him for a bit, and perhaps you hold his arms in the bassinet. You only pick up the baby if it gets really really based on the guide and based on my experience. If it gets really hysterical, you do not want to do it too many times because then they're not going to get the opportunity to fall asleep on their own. I wouldn't pick him up after in the first 10 minutes. I would say, like, that's too early in my opinion. I would give him the 2, 4, 6, like the first 12 minutes. If it's still hysterical, pick him up for no more than a minute, maybe no more than 2 minutes. I would say that's my advice there. No more than 2 minutes. Pick him up, put him back down, and start from that point. He's going back to 6 minutes.
Do you think? Well, because even sometimes I'll pick him up. And granted, he's been pretty good. He'll just go to sleep and he'll sleep for 6 8 hour chunks. But
he will rock it like a champ. He'll just get used to falling asleep on his own because he's already getting good stretches.
So maybe I'll do 4 nights or whatever, doing the kind of him in the same room, and then we'll move him to his own room and start doing it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and you choose and stick to the same method. Choose if you're doing this, that what's called the cuddle to cot. So you stay in the same in the room with him until he falls asleep. Or if you're just going with the space soothing, yeah, keep him in the bedroom, but you go out of the bedroom to the living room, let's say, and you
And
come
then
back into the room every, like I've been doing every few minutes, in increasing intervals, just kind of staying at the same interval in the end, 6 8 minutes, whatever that is, until he falls asleep. And if you can go without feeding, you may want to stick with a feeding during the night. I don't know, you know.
and
It's
I
hard to
would
know.
do it with a bottle.
So yeah, I mean, two options there. You could either do it with a bottle, or you can, bring your wife out there to do a quick feeding, and then she goes back downstairs to rest, and you take it to, has he been eating once during the night?
Yeah, typically once during the night or no times. I mean, he has had a couple of nights where he'll eat at 6:30 or 7 and then eat again at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I think drop the night feeding if he already is able to go through the whole night, and just let him go back to sleep. It also depends on how much he ate recently. You just came back from a trip, for Christmas, and something you want to consider there. Did he have a good amount of food today during the day? If it seems like he did, I would just let him go throughout the whole night. Um,
And if
yeah,
we're doing the space soothing method, say I'm going to do the space soothing method, but he's going to be
in your
in
room,
the bedroom. Once he falls asleep, I can go in there and go to sleep, right?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You just chill in bed. When he wakes up, you can decide if you want to just stay in bed, which might be hard, in the middle of the night. Perhaps he wakes up and he's protesting, or you go to the living room and do some mobility or whatnot. And I don't know what's the acoustics of the unit that you have, where you're at right now in relation to your house. How is that going to affect you? Are you using a sound machine?
I got two sound machines. I'm going to put one in with my wife too.
So has he been sleeping with a sound machine?
Yeah.
So we also only introduced a sound machine like after the first night of training, maybe the second or third night. We were not doing a sound machine. We were doing a sound machine for our daughter. We just decided to not do a sound machine, and we made the room darker too. Two things that I was saying like, nah, let's not do it, and then all the trainers unequivocally said the sound helps, and just like you like sleeping with a sleep mask, they're pretty much telling me and my wife, get the room dark. Just get the room dark, and any bits of light is sending a signal to the body to create serotonin. So
Okay. Um, well, I'll keep you updated, obviously, on how this goes. So I think tonight we'll do the space soothing. I think I'm going to excommunicate my wife to the Airbnb, let her hang out and get a good night's rest. And this could be, a challenging couple of days for me, or a few days here,
yeah,
but
well, it's
it is what it
mostly
is.
it's mostly the nights, and I think based on what I'm hearing, most likely it will take 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a couple times during the night, and that's it. He's already been taking long stretches, so it's just about falling asleep. And again, if he wakes up in the middle of the night and he's expecting food or comfort, like, hey, bud, you can do it. You know, just let him do his thing. He will go back to sleep. I'm, I'm, I'm
Do you have
thinking.
last question? Do you have Noodle in the room?
Noodles in our dog is in the bedroom that I'm sleeping in, not in the same bedroom that the baby. Fortunately, throughout the whole time, even when he was sleeping in our bedroom, she's been quiet. No barks from her whatsoever. She's chilling.
Yeah. Well, since
She's
you took
well,
your
well
advice,
she's quated.
well,
Yeah.
Benny, we recreated Benny. So we crate trained him. It was great. Then for some reason we just said, "Oh, we're gonna let him do whatever he wants." And then he started, waking me up in the middle of the night. He had a pine cone outside that he remembered he wanted to play with, or a bone buried. So I'm like outside, chasing him around at 2 o'clock in the morning. But we started crate training him again, and or just putting him back in his crate at night. He just goes in there and goes to sleep, and he doesn't wake up until 4:30 or 5. Whenever I start moving around, he's like, okay, I'm gonna. Even
Yeah.
today, I slept in until 7:30, and he didn't move until I got up.
Well, I don't get our our dog out until I'm ready to take her out. So even if I wake up at 5 a.m., I go and do my whole morning routine. I get my daughter wakes up later on. We have our own thing. I take the dog out usually around 7:30. She's quiet the whole time. She may be protesting every once in a while, barking like, "Hey, what's going on with me?" I'm like, "Look, I have to be honest. Like, I prioritize the young children that I have here over you. You're a big part of the family, but I gotta take care of these babies. She can put up with it. She has no problem. And I walk her. She's the last one to go to bed. She's the last one to get out of bed. That's just the way it is.
And I think that's
Um,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have a couple of small conversation with my wife to get her feedback on this as well. And granted, she went through the whole Dr. Golly course; she knows it. Um,
Well, I
so I
suggest
think,
actually I had the course open on my computer and I was looking at it throughout the night to remind myself because I went through it and I didn't remember exactly what to do. So
yeah.
I had it open and I also took a few screenshots and I even printed out the schedule and I kept referring back until I really remembered what I'm doing, what I want to do. Um, and we are not following the Dr. Golly schedule to the T by any means. I think it will be more suitable for when our son gets a little bit older, towards 5 months, maybe even after. We're doing a bit of a different schedule, earlier naps mostly. And one of the Dr. Golly things that really worked for us to get the longer stretches during the night was to get an early bedtime because of the shorter naps. So he was taking 30-minute naps. So we put him down rather than close to 7, we put him at 6. Even like he fell asleep at like 5:55, I think, last night, and then he woke up at 5:30. So that has been working really well, and he's been falling asleep, and also he's been falling asleep not only nighttime now, but also for naps super quickly. I'm talking about sometimes 2 minutes. Going happily down takes 2 minutes to fall asleep. He's not even protesting. There's nothing to protest about. The deal is done. He knows he's gonna do the same routine every time. Whether how I change him. I put a little nursery rhymes. While I change him, we're gonna get a few giggles of just like quiet, not like getting too crazy in there. I close the shade. I go and get a couple books, read him a couple books, one in Spanish, one in Hebrew, um, and then yeah, just do a little kind of just winding down, just sing to him, talk to him, and I put him in bed with the same words that I say every time before I put him down. So that's that, and I've heard that from a bunch of trainers. Just same exact everything. Put them on a schedule, which I mean, you and I are on a schedule as is. Humans, dogs, everybody likes to be on a schedule. Put them on a schedule, do the same thing. Routine is key. Consistency.
Okay, and I'm gonna talk to my wife now too about potentially just going into the crib. I mean, she's really, first
It's
kid, you
hard.
know how it goes. It's hard. She likes him next. She's got a special bond with him, obviously, and I do too. I like having him in the room, but I think it's a little easier for me to dissociate from that and say, hey, this is what's best for him long term. If you're getting good rest, you're not going to be as tired during the day. You're going to be able to show up as a better mother. I think everyone well rested, it's kind of doing that little bit of hard work up front. It has a long term compounding benefit. So I'm not going to force that one too hard, but I'll pitch it to her.
Sorry, there's a cat showing up here in my property, and my dog might go a bit crazy for a second. I do want to mention on that note that I think it's okay. One of the important things really there is the communication. So like getting very clear and getting on the same page before starting the training, during this training, getting all the trust and all the communication. So like, all right, we're gonna stick to it. We're committed together. It's not that I'm deciding something for us as a couple and as a family. Like we decided before, we're gonna follow through, and that's why we decided it will be best for my wife to go to the structure that we have next door, so she can be isolated from that experience and let me handle it. And I think that's a healthy, um, that's a healthy team. That's healthy teamwork there, where the father steps in, or the non-feeding parent, I would say, steps in to do that work. So
Yeah, and that's another key thing. I don't know if we mentioned that. I'm the one doing it because I'm the non-feeding parent. He'll take bottle for me every now and then. We don't do much bottle feeding, to be honest. But even if it's a bottle, he prefers it from mom. I think it kind of tricks him into thinking. I mean, mom's the snack
Absolutely.
bar.
Well, my mom, and there's things about a mom, the mother. That's where he came from. I mean, it's where he came from. They were literally one person for most of their lives. Even your boy is going to be what, 5 months in a week.
Yep.
Still, most of his life, he was literally a part of her, and they're still. I mean, they're still connected in a way. And even with my daughter, I know that we have a strong connection. I've been putting a lot of time and a lot of effort to have a strong connection with my daughter and relationship. But still, mom, she wants mom in a different way. And what I've been hearing in different from different sources, that the first 7 years of a child are more about nurturing, and it comes from the mother, it comes from the feminine side, and then at 7, perhaps they're ready for more padre, for more path, direction and such, as their brain waves are changing, and they're in this kind of, based on also Rudolf Steiner 7-year cycles. They're ready for the next cycle. It doesn't mean they're going to prioritize dad. Just they're ready for more dad. And anyways, that's that.
Cool. Well, thanks, Doc. I think we can wrap this one up. It was sort of the sleep training episode. Um, I thought it would be valuable for us to chat about it and record it. One, selfishly, so I can refer back to it. But two, I know there's a few people that would benefit from it and like to hear it. Um, and I think you've done a very good job, even with Lena raising your children. I always say that there's two people that have done a really exemplary job raising their kids, and that's you and our buddy Roop. So I try to ask you two for advice whenever I can, because you're a little further down that path than I am. But
And I will add Michael Tierno, who I
oh,
took.
oh yeah, and
Out of,
obviously, well, he's way further down. So Michael Tierno is who I'm going to start calling once my son's walking, because yeah, he's done an incredible job. Something I'll throw out really quick about him from the retreat is there was a few men there saying, "Oh, I got teenagers," and they're kind of thinking like, "Oh, fuck you, dad. You don't know what's going on. You're not cool." Blah blah blah. The typical teenager that you would see in like some American-based sitcom. And Mike's kind of sitting there quiet for a minute, and then he goes, "Yeah, my boys have literally never ever once said anything like that or been like that." And I think it's a testament to how well he raised his boys. He really quickly tries to not take credit, and credits the schooling system and all the things that they went through with Waldorf and all that. Um, but you can tell. I mean, Mike has a like sort of a fatherly energy to you and I.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, is the divine, as I say about him, is the exemplary, at least for me, divine masculine. So, anyways, yeah. Shout out to Roop and Michael. Okay, cool. Let's wrap it up. I'm going to throw the link to the Dr. Gali course that you share with me
perfect.
in
Yeah,
the show notes. So that was going to be in
beautiful.
the show notes. All right. Good
Well,
luck,
thanks, Doc.
everybody.
I'll keep you updated.
Please do. Peace.